Just bravo, bravo, bravo. Take a bow, Andrew. Take a bow, Mr. Touchlots. It's okay, Pervy McTouchlots. He comes back. He's like a bad case of herpes in so many ways than one.
Welcome to episode 49 of Beyond the Bench on the Empty the Bench podcast network. That's Nick Fodera. I'm Nick Morgasen. I feel so much more excited when I hear this.
The intro music is talking about. Yeah, it's just very peppy. It's very jaunty, and we really needed it because the old intro music, as much as I liked it, it kind of felt like it was. It felt like kind of felt too dreary.
Make sure you follow us across social media on Empty the Bench at ETB Network, Facebook, TikTok,
Twitter,
Instagram. Also, follow us on here for our show at Beyond the Bench 1 on Facebook, Twitter, Facebook. I can't talk today. Instagram and more.
Also, I should make the announcement that I'm on Instagram now, so you can follow me on Instagram. I know. Cue your shocked faces. But you can follow me on Instagram at Nick Writes Words, the same as my Twitter handle. So just type that in, and you can find me. I'm kind of hard to miss.
Wait, did someone say shock?
I was thinking shock more like cattle prod.
Well, as I have my thing on loop, which I keep forgetting to turn off every single time. But yes, he is on Instagram at Nick Writes Words like every other platform. So, all right, here we go. So episode 49 has a lot of interesting stories. It ranges from the unfortunate to the odd to the peculiar to the funny.
And you know what? It covers the gamut like we always try to do here on Beyond the Bench. But we do have to start off on a little bit of a heavier note. Again, this was completely not the intention. But again, like it always does, the news rears its ugly head. Unfortunately, from the time of this recording, actually on Wednesday night, we had heard the news confirmed to us that the 90s rapper Coolio, had died at the age of 59.
Yeah.
Now, the toxicology and the autopsy reports have not been released as of this recording, but as far as we know, as far as we understand, he was at he was at a friend of his house or his manager's house.
I think he was at a friend's house in LA for a party, I think. And he went to use the facilities.
He went to use the restroom, and he did not come out. And when they tried to, they called for him, he didn't answer. When they opened up the door, he was found unresponsive, and the EMTs had said that they tried to do resuscitation for 20 minutes and it was unsuccessful. So we don't know exactly why, but at this point, endlessly speculating is really not going to do anybody any good or really do justice to, because we are Nick Morgasen and I are unabashed kids of the 90s. And Nickelodeon specifically, that's kind of the channel that raised us when we went to school, when we came home from school, or when you were home during the summer. And Coolio kind of provided the soundtrack for that. He's known for providing the theme song to Kenan and Kel.
Here it goes.
Yeah, he did a lot of work. He did a lot of work with them. He's known for Gangsta's Paradise. That entire album was just really, really good.
It was the album of the 90s. I mean, I think it sold out like at the top of the charts. I mean, this was unfortunate news. Officially, he died from cardiac arrest.
It did.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, according to TMZ, officially, he died from cardiac arrest.
And honestly, I really think this is something that a lot of these guys, a lot of rappers from his generation, are dying young. It happened to DMX. It happened to Biz Markie. It happened to I don't know if Easy kind of fits into that because that was almost 20 years ago he passed away. But
He fits that era of people that really knew how to bring
elevated hip hop.
right.
And this is coming from somebody who absolutely did not grow up with that music at all. I'm way too white.
You think I grew up with hip hop?
I did you? I don't know.
No, I'm saying you said you didn't. Now you think I did. I didn't.
No, but again, but that's not the kind of music that we got into. But as I got older, I gained a lot of appreciation for the guys in the early, mid, and late 90s that were, you know, pioneering, let's say. Because again, it might not have been music that I listened to growing up, but I respected it. I mean, and to say that Gangsta's Paradise is not a fantastic song is you're just lying to yourself.
Yeah, come on. I mean, that was one of the greatest albums, along with one of the greatest songs of all time. If you don't know Gangsta's Paradise, then you're not a music fan. You don't understand music.
Because me being terminally uncool, I was first introduced to the song by Amish Paradise, which was the
the Weird Al version.
The Weird Al version. And then I went back and listened to Gangsta's Paradise when I got older.
Well, and, I think Weird Al brought it back to fruition with his parody. Actually,
well, there was a story to that song because apparently he didn't want to. He got permission from the record company to make the song.
Well, first of all, before you go on, Weird Al had to get permission from everybody before he parodied them.
Even if he does, it doesn't. He always tries to reach out because that's Weird Al. But he reached out to the record company. They said he could do it.
Well, he always he used to try to reach out to the actual people sometimes also.
But Coolio came to him and said, after he'd recorded it, Coolio came to him and said, that's not cool. I mean, the song means a lot to me, and I feel like this is kind of cheapening it a little bit. I mean, I don't agree, but I understand the.
So how did it end up coming out then?
Well, because Weird Al talked about it.
No, I'm saying. Amish Paradise ended up coming out anyway.
He already recorded it and put it out.
Which is weird because, like I said, Weird Al tells stories all the time that he always talks to people.
Yeah, it was off the. But Weird Al wrote back to him and said, I'm sorry. If I'd known you didn't want to do it, I wouldn't have recorded it. The record company told me different. And to his credit, Coolio has been cool with it.
Unfortunately.
He obviously, but he grew to like the song, and he became friends with Weird Al, as the years progressed.
See, that's the weird thing. Like, as much as people hated the parodies at first, he made friends with a lot of the people he made parodies of.
He did, Coolio being one of them, and it could have been, easy for him to basically carry that beef his entire life, but he never did.
And just so you know, if anyone else did the Keenan and Kel theme, I don't think it would be as successful. It wouldn't have worked. Like, Coolio totally understood from a kid's demographic how that needed to be done,
what it needed to sound like, and he was doing a lot of stuff. He was doing a lot of stuff with Nickelodeon, not just that.
Well, that's the one he's famously known for, though.
It's what he's known for, but again, the man's legacy is pretty unimpeachable.
Right, and also it says that he joined the likes of Biz Markie, Wu-Tang Clan, and Fat Joe for America is Dying Slowly, a compilation album for AIDS awareness group Red Hot organization. Also,
yeah,
the man, like, he wasn't your typical rapper, if that makes sense.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Like, everyone stereotypes what rappers are.
Yeah, they stereotype rappers as basically gang members, which
right, like they're bad people. They don't have any worth. All they do is
have any education. They're basically just selling drugs, swearing, and just or whatever. Because a lot of it is not so thinly veiled racism, really. Because
believe it or not,
but you can't imagine. But you can't imagine rappers. There's a lack of imagination because you can't imagine rappers not being that, which is completely wrong. Because Tupac went to acting school. He's actually his mother was Assata Shakur, was
right.
one of the most prominent figures in the she was a member of the Black Panthers, I think.
Right. Yes, but if you look at Coolio's resume after music, because he kind of, as music was declining, he went into the TV and acting space.
Yeah. So a lot of these guys were Renaissance men. Could say, yeah, you could even say that about guys like Jay-Z, the guys that kind of came after him, because it's like it wasn't enough to just be one thing. You could also do multiple things and be good at it. But even though Jay-Z kind of did the entrepreneur thing.
Right. Well, you could say Coolio was also, I think he had a cooking show at one point. Yeah. I mean, the man was multi-talented in every way, shape, or form.
The man was multi-talented. I think he was. And I think in a way that you don't see a lot of rappers doing nowadays. I think Snoop Dogg is kind of the last of them.
I was just going to bring that up.
Dogg, Ice Cube, and Ice-T are kind of the last of that breed.
I was going to say, people give Snoop crap because like everyone thinks that Snoop is basically the weed smoker and that's it. Like,
he's pretty much outlasted. He's been doing this for 30 years.
Now, don't get me wrong. Snoop had a weird past doing certain things.
Well, yeah. I mean, the man grew up in Compton, and it was a difficult childhood for him.
No, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about like he used to tell stories that he had women and like. Yeah. There was some weird situations, but at the same time, the man wouldn't be where he was if he didn't have some resemblance of a brain.
If the music was crap, he wouldn't be.
Forget the music. Forget the music. I'm talking about if he didn't have some resemblance of a brain to do business.
Yeah. You need to be able to know how to do these things and do it well.
And he's funny on TV.
Because any idiot can do. Because people tend to think that rapping is white people, older white people. Really, they think that. Rapping is just talking in rhythm, and it's not that.
Oh, you mean like Eminem?
Oh, ooh! Somebody's gunning for Eminem, or the Eminem fan base is going to come after us on social media, and it's going to be your fault. So you know what? I'm going to point in this direction. And say,
you're pointing the wrong direction.
Actually, yes, it's him. He did it.
But if you look at some of the things that Coolio made some appearances on Sabrina the Teenage Witch, The Nanny. Wow, I didn't know he was on The Nanny.
Yes, he was. I just found out about that last night, believe it or not.
Also, Gravity Falls. And then he was also on some reality TV shows, which that unfortunately makes sense because a lot of these people who have declining careers go on reality TV to stay. I
wouldn't even say his career was declining because, you knew Coolio whenever he showed up. Whenever he showed up, he made it better.
Okay, when your list includes wife swap, that's a little weird.
It's a little weird, but you know what? Money's money.
No, but what I will say, though, is unlike some other people, he actually had a successful life and career.
Yeah.
Doing many things. Like, there were some rappers, unfortunately, like, when their peak comes and goes, that's it. You basically show up at the reunions of the 90s shows.
Or you end up playing small clubs or ending up on reality TV being the only thing you do.
There's a show, and it mostly here on Long Island. Most people who are not going to know this, who listen around the world, they do a show where they have like 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and it's all like older groups that like. Are not in the scene anymore, but that's the only way they perform. They show up in these tribute shows.
Yeah, I've seen Jay and the Americans do it. I've seen Frankie Valli, I think, might have done it once or twice.
Frankie Valli technically could still live on his own name.
Yeah, and was it an Earth, Wind, and Fire tribute band, or was it
that was a tribute? By the way, fun fact about Jay and the Americans: I actually met Jay Black.
Oh, you did?
And I interviewed him when I was in college radio. When he was still alive. Unfortunately, he's not alive anymore. But the weird story, I don't know, do you know the weird story about him or no?
Yeah, the record company screwed him out of his own name.
Oh, I'm not...
That he couldn't tour as Jay and the Americans.
Actually, that's partially incorrect because he told me the story, but he told me that because he had gambling debts, he had to sell the name.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'll never forget when I showed up because he actually gave me tickets to the event right after we were done with the interview. He's like, "You want to come see my show?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay." It was him and Bill Medley.
How much did you know about Bill Medley and Jay and the Americans?
I happen to like that music. I like oldies music, so I knew about it. But when I showed up, this is no joke. We got to go backstage. He allowed me to come back before the show with my father, and all of a sudden, like he was wearing one of those jackets with the pockets on the inside, like when you like the old mafia.
Yeah,
And
like one of those huge suits.
and all of a sudden, this is no joke. He lifts the side of the jacket. There's one of those mafia guns. I'm not even kidding you.
Shit.
I'm not even joking.
Oh shit!
And do you know that story or no?
I don't know if I want to know.
So that goes back to the gambling debts. So he was in so
Oh.
much gambling debt that he had to start
So he
carrying.
got so paranoid that he had to carry around a piece.
Well, yeah, because people were actually like after him.
Yeah.
So
you know, it turns out that everybody thinks that the stereotype is that the rappers are carrying heat. No, it's Jay and the Americans you got to watch out for.
well, it was Jay himself, but
Yeah, it was Jay Black you got to watch out for. Because
don't get me wrong, Jay Black.
It's the guys you never expect. Frankie Lyman could probably cut a bitch.
Jay Black was a great singer. He had a great career, but he wasn't exactly the most. I don't know what's the word I want to use.
Savvy person.
Well, he was a little degenerate. That's the best way I can put it. But all right, so Coolio.
Music business is cutthroat, and you know what? Some thrive and some are crushed by it.
Right. So unfortunately, Coolio found dead at age 59 at LA friend's house. You were right, according to the manager who found out. But life goes on, unfortunately, and we move on to the storm. So the storm hit Florida, Hurricane Ian. By the way, anyone who's recovering, please be safe.
Our thoughts and prayers go. Our thoughts and prayers go out to you. In fact, we could, we could probably put some resources up on our Twitter, can't we?
Yeah, we could try and do that. Yeah,
but yeah, it came out. You know, category 4, category 5. It may, and I don't know if you've seen any of this.
It's supposed to go up east.
Go up east towards Charleston, South Carolina. So,
well, as of this recording, it'll probably be up east by the time it.
So, as of the time of this recording, it already made landfall and caused a shit ton of damage.
A lot, like
because I don't know if you've seen the
storm surge.
Yeah,
they said there was like
18-foot storm surge.
Right, it was like they said it was like a record for the first time in decades. This amount of storm surge.
Again, but this is what climate change gets you.
I mean, you can't blame it all on climate change, but Florida. Wait a minute.
In Florida, I'll concede that.
Florida is the hurricane path. Remember that. That's why, as much as people want to live in Florida for the warm weather, what are you putting yourself at risk for? Also,
hurricanes. That's why you don't want to live in California either. It's basically on God's Etch-a-Sketch.
Well, and mudslides and mountains and
forest fires. But again. The only safe place you can be is in your own basement.
Pretty much. I mean,
just basically lock yourself in the basement, and you know what? Put yourself in a straitjacket and just never leave your house again.
I mean, people get mad about the weather being cold in New York, but at least you're safe for the most part.
I mean,
for the most part,
it's coming up on 10 years since Sandy, so
that's a good point. I mean, do you remember where you were when that storm hit?
I was up in college.
Were you?
Yeah, I was up in SUNY New Paltz, and we barely got hit.
Lucky you.
Fuck you. What? What?
No, because we got hit with that.
I know. My parents were down here. You guys lost power for what? Like a week?
Try like close to 11, 12 days.
Yeah, my parents actually had to go up to New Paltz to get it to the campus in SUNY New Paltz where I was to do their laundry and to charge their phones and get groceries and things they needed.
It was crazy. I'll never forget the night when the storm hit and all of a sudden we hear the destruction and I'm not laughing. I'm just like, I couldn't believe what was going on. Like where in our backyard, chairs were starting to move. Like, And I'm like, oh crap.
Secure them before the storm.
We didn't realize it was going to be that big. We have a roof thing over our backyard patio, but the chairs were starting to move, and we're like, and so I literally was running out with my mother, and we were getting the chairs and bringing them inside the house. It was crazy.
Jesus, you know how dangerous that is?
It was right at the beginning as the wind was coming. We were right in the back of the house. The patio is attached to the back of the house.
And you must have been right out of high school, right?
What year was
2012.
I was at Nassau Community College. I think I was in my first or second semester, I think.
Yeah, so I was a sophomore, junior.
I was interning.
I can't remember.
I was interning at Sirius at that point, and I couldn't make it to my internship, and they gave me shit over the air at Sirius because
The world is literally exploding outside. The rain is trying to kill us.
Well, they didn't. They joked about it, and I was not happy about it. But my point is,
What we're talking about right now is that Publix, the supermarket chain,
yeah, this was bad.
has, they have a bakery where they make their cakes, and they made different cakes of the Doppler radar of the path of Hurricane Ian. Now, for those of you who didn't actually read this story, it is not, and I'm going to repeat that, not the work of some dick who just went to the bakery and said, "Yeah, give me a hurricane cake." Fuck you guys. No,
you can't make this up.
That's the Publix bakery having a little fun.
I don't know if that's very fun though, is it?
No, especially not if people die. I mean, we don't have an official
because no one knows. No one knows the death toll yet.
We don't know. We don't know the damage. Is probably going to be in the hundreds of millions, if not billions. And I mean, God knows. I mean, I would hope that the death toll stays as low as it can. But honestly, at this point, nobody knows.
I mean,
recording, we don't know.
So it says images of cakes decorated with the hurricane symbol, storm tracking radar, color schemes, and even maps of Florida have quickly taken over social media in the last couple of days.
And again, there was a lot of, if you read the comments underneath that tweet, a lot of it was actually laughing at it because it's pretty funny. But again, once a hurricane makes landfall, it ceases to be funny.
I'm sorry, I don't find this too funny.
Like I said, especially not if people die. I mean, they're gonna have to delete that tweet. I'm sorry.
Wait a minute. This is a meteorologist sharing a picture. I mean, it was a meteorologist who tweeted it out, the pictures of the cakes. But when you have one that says "Leave Florida alone" and it's a hurricane symbol with icing of Florida on top of the cake, that's a little bizarre. No.
It is a little bizarre. It's like, it's like a guy going in for a biopsy, and it's just a cake in the shape of a giant tumor. I mean, you can't do that.
And like people are just sharing the pictures, like it's all over Twitter.
Next, Holocaust cakes, Jesus Christ!
First of all, if I see a Holocaust cake show up in any place that I shop,
if you see a Holocaust cake, that means a Nazi baked it. So don't eat that cake.
No, I'm saying
don't eat no Nazi cakes.
I'm warning you right now. If a Holocaust cake shows up in any place I shop, I will never shop there again.
I mean, but obviously, for obvious reasons.
I mean,
that's a life lesson you can take with you. Never eat any Nazi cakes.
Well, I would hope that's the case. But if I don't think we have Publix really around here, that's not really it's more of
a southern thing.
I was going to say it's more southern.
Publix was the supermarket chain when I went in vacation down in South Carolina. So,
but I would say right now, and not that we're looking to get anything from them, don't shop at Publix.
I mean, if you're going to get a cake from there, I wouldn't get the hurricane cake. You know what? Is it really that much of a stretch? You just get a cake that says "Happy Birthday" on it.
I want to know who the marketing bozo at Publix that was sitting there one day and just said, "You know what? There's a hurricane coming in. You know what? Let's make a cake that makes everybody feel like shit."
That's like getting a cake for somebody's baby shower, and it's just congratulations, fuckwad.
Or it's like when they in the movies you see them screw up the names and like two people are getting cakes and they accidentally get the wrong one and one of them says congratulations for
Congratulations, Neil, but it turns out the guy's name is actually Nick.
Right. I don't know. This was weird to me. But speaking of weird situations, man caught urinating on wife's grave almost every morning. Now,
and it was caught. When he says it was caught,
it was literally caught on video.
It was literally caught on tape in 4K, in high definition, even though it was at night. That man was peeing on his own wife's grave.
Ex-wife's
grave.
Now, what's even more annoying, it's in our boroughs. It was done in New Jersey.
You know what? I got to tell you, that is not the most New Jersey thing I've ever seen. It's up there, but it's not the most New Jersey thing I've ever seen.
I don't even know. Can they charge him for that?
They could charge him for indecent exposure. They could charge him with destruction of property.
Oh, public indecency.
If you fuck with the grass, if you fuck with the grass on top of the grave.
I was going to say public indecency, but yeah.
Yeah, public indecent exposure. Especially since they caught him with his dick out.
So it says a man in New Jersey is accused of habitually urinating on his ex-wife's grave. The purported desecration occurred at the Tappan Reformed Church Cemetery, a centuries-old burial ground on the border between New Jersey and New York. Michael Murray told News 12 that the saga began when he repeatedly noticed deli bags full... Oh, come on! Repeatedly noticed
finish the sentence.
Deli bags full of feces placed near the grave of his mother.
Of his own mother?
And contacted the police.
There are certain things you just can't do. There are just certain things you just... No. That, you know what? I said before that that's not the most Jersey thing I've ever seen. I changed my mind. That is the most Jersey thing I've ever seen.
And it says officials took a report of the incident and Murray later obtained permission to place cameras on the cemetery grounds to try to obtain the footage of the act.
I mean, obviously this man did not like his ex-wife or his own mother. But you know what? Once they die, what's the point? What's the point of going?
Wait a minute.
Going to the grave and doing that?
Wait a minute.
You're just making yourself feel better.
Hold the phone. So this 68-year-old man who's been doing this, by the way, 68, visited the cemetery almost every morning between 6:14 a.m. and 6:18 a.m. with his current wife and urinated on the grave of his ex-wife.
Both of them did?
No. He showed up with his ex-wife.
He did. Oh, okay.
How fucked up is that?
I don't... You know what? It's... You know what? Exactly. You know what? That's the... There it is. It wins. It wins first prize. Ding, 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 ding. It wins first prize for the most Jersey thing I've ever fucking seen in my life.
So it says the man apparently has a long-standing grudge. He was married to her for a short period of time, more than 40 years ago, and left when she became pregnant, insisting that the child was not his, her family told media outlets. That's your grudge?
40 fucking years ago? Oh, God. Yeah.
Well, in the long run, it says DNA testing proved the man was indeed the child's father.
Oh, fucking great. So you know what? Have fun paying the fine.
It says a public urination charge was filed against the man by police, and the investigation is ongoing. What is wrong with people?
I don't know.
Public indecency, public urination.
Yeah, first of all, I sometimes I get shy bladder when I go into a public bathroom.
Right.
You really think I'm gonna piss on a grave?
No, that's fucked up.
Seriously, how would you do? You know what? I can't even. I can't even wrap my head around it.
Yeah, don't try to make sense of it. But speaking of trying to wrap your head around something, let's talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Okay, so
Well,
I made my
before you do anything, let me go grab this first.
Now that could be directed two ways. That could either be directed towards her or directed towards her husband for marrying her.
No, it's her. It's her.
That's who you're directing it towards.
Because, so here we go. So Marjorie Taylor Greene's husband files for divorce, saying in court docs that marriage was irretrievably broken. It, quote unquote.
It's times like these, ladies and gentlemen, where I find myself being torn about telling you how I really feel.
No, you can. I don't like her either.
I mean, it's just you married a bully.
Yep.
You married a bully guy. It's like, and it might not have been like that before. I'm not going to speculate about whether there was any kind of infidelity involved.
Well, there's no reports of that, so we don't know.
There's no reports of that. So I'm not going to be like the other Democrat accounts on Twitter you can see that were basically saying, "Oh, she cheated on him," but I'm not going to do that. And divorce sucks, so I'm not going to.
They were married 27 years.
We're married 27 years, and it's got to suck. It's got to suck for their. It's got to suck for the kids involved. So
it says in his petition, Perry Green wrote that he and the Congresswoman had been in a quote bona fide state of separation before he filed the papers in Georgia's Floyd County.
So, you know what I have to say to her husband? Run for the hills, boy!
He also asked that the divorce be filed under seal, saying, quote, the record will contain sensitive personal and financial information, the public disclosure of which would negatively impact the party's privacy interests.
His privacy or her privacy?
It just says the private impact the parties.
Yeah. Well, first of all, if you wanted this to stay quiet, you failed.
Yeah, and it says when contacted for comment, the Congresswoman's representatives told Insider the divorce was quote a private and personal matter.
So you know what? Then that gives every DC insider from here to Roanoke, Virginia, to basically just speculate baselessly.
And they do have children. That is confirmed.
And I mean, I may think that the woman is a psycho. I may think that she's a bully, and I might think, that I may hold a personal opinion that I've seen bags of thumbtacks that were smarter.
I agree. No. You and I are on the same page. She's a dick.
But divorce sucks. So you know what? I can express sympathy.
What sympathy, Nick? She goes on TV and looks like a loony bin every time she's on TV. Every time.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean,
you're right.
I could sum it up in one way.
I mean, harassing Parkland school children. I mean, have you no shame, woman?
She got thrown up.
No. I answered my own question. No, they don't have shame.
There is no shame. And by the way, she got thrown off of Twitter. That should tell you something too.
But now she's happier on True Social. So as long as she can fill Trump's, if she can pay Trump his legal fees.
I mean,
because that's what all this is. That's what True Social is. That's what all this super PAC fundraising is about. It's all about separating the rubes from their money, and they do it willingly.
When I worked at the right-wing crazy station,
the Crazy Factory,
she was a guest on one of the shows I was producing.
I didn't know that. Really?
Yeah. And when I was told that was the case, I said, "Are you shitting me?"
What was the case?
And they're like, "Yeah, she's calling in." I'm like, "No!" So I had to talk to.
Talk to her.
I had to talk to her, and I had to talk to Creeper Cruz also.
And both of them are unpleasant human beings? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes, they're both unpleasant human beings. She has no worth. She has no brain. She has no common sense, which I've come to learn. Not that I take a political edge on any way, shape, or form. Let me make that clear. But when
he's as apolitical as you can get.
but
Although working in right wing radio for as long as he has, it's kind of affected him.
not for the negative, but I'm just saying, like,
I can't mention Rudy Giuliani without him starting to shake.
But my point is, I've learned that the right wing makes everybody else look smarter.
Yeah, it's just again, it's an operation for morons, made by morons, preaching to morons.
I mean, my favorite is seeing all the dumb ad campaigns here locally in New York with Kathy Hochul and Lee Zeldin.
Oh God!
I mean, you know what? I'm so tired of these. The paid ads are supposed to be to promote what you could do positively.
I'm Lee Zeldin, and I'm going to give a gun to a fetus.
Well, I wasn't even going to go there, but my point was now the paid ads are
Lee Zeldin, and nothing happened on January 6th.
Exactly. And my point is these ads have now turned into attacking the other person. It's not what you do as a you noticed that, right?
But that's what political attack ads are kind of for.
No.
But that's what they've turned into.
No, but I'm saying years ago it used to be you bought ads to show what you could do as a person. Now every ad that's bought.
But now we are in the era of Trump, so therefore everything has to be an attack on you. It's that you are evil, you are immoral, and I will destroy you.
Well, I could say she's immortal, but that's a whole different issue.
Which is no way to live your life, just hating people because they're Democrats, or they're gay, or they're trans, or they're non-white. It's like, why live like that?
And what's that stupid event that the Republicans held where they?
CPAC.
Oh, trust me. Oh, I had to deal with that too when I produced JBS's show.
From CPAC?
No, not. You know who I'm talking about. When I had to do.
I know.
That was a nationally syndicated program I was a producer for, and all the guests were coming from CPAC, and I said no.
Oh God! And I thought that working for Ben Shapiro would be its own kind of hell. This is.
Well, I didn't work for Ben Shapiro. I just the show was
in
carried.
The same station as him.
Trust me. Me. I'm smart. Me.
Moving on.
All right, let's move on here. We'll stay in that realm, and we'll go from insane to stupid. So, former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo plots comeback with Candid podcast.
Bravo. Just bravo. Take a bow, Andrew. Take a bow, Mr. Touchlots. It's okay, pervy McTouchlots. He comes back. He's like a bad case of herpes in so many ways than one. He never goes away.
I mean, so I see this, and I said, there's no way I can pass this up. There's no way.
Look, unless he is going on this podcast to say, yes, I am the creep that everybody thinks I am. Yes, I did touch those. I did sexually.
Wait a minute.
Women, and I'm sorry.
Wait, he's going to do the Clinton?
It's not going to be worth looking for.
Wait, he's going to do the Clinton?
Yeah. First of all, Clinton went denied first, and then he said, "Yeah, I did it, kinda."
I did not have sex with that woman.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. However, I do know what her panties look like.
I mean, that's going to be Cuomo.
But unless you are going to do that and do the entire act of contrition, unless you are going to be there and be very, very open and honest about the scumbag that everybody thinks you are, there is no point to this podcast, because he is just going to do what he and his brother always do, which is, I'm the victim. You're all torturing me. It's your fault.
Well, that's how Chris Cuomo made his comeback.
Because they both think they're big shots. They both are small. They both are small men at heart. They are small men at heart. And every time you give a small man with a small heart any kind of monicum of power, he uses it to bully.
Oh, I was going to say maybe he had something else small, but that's a whole different issue.
They That could also be. You could also be compensating for that too. And what when you bully people, it's because you want people to. It's you want people to focus on the fact that you're the big tough man. That they're not looking at your small penis. But you know, I'm not going to speculate on Andrew Cuomo and his any kind of genital related questions.
No,
I'm
because
not going to answer that question.
he's already done enough to creep us all out.
Them into trouble in the first place.
But listen to this. So Cuomo posted a video to his social media accounts in which he laid out his comeback effort, which will include a new super PAC and a gun safety effort.
Look, the gun safety thing. Look, as much as I was a fan of him before I found out what a scumbag he was, the man was a scumbag. I'm sorry, but we must. If it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a fucking scumbag duck.
I mean, do you really think he cares? He like these politicians.
He does care. You know what? No. He does care. To
no.
answer your question, yes, he does care.
Well, if he cared, why did he do it?
If he cared, if he didn't care anymore, he would have fucked off into the sunset and just sat on his money.
He could have,
but he didn't do that because he has this innate need to prove, kind of like Trump, just how big and strong and right he is. I'm the moral crusader striking out against an unfair world that canceled me because I'm too open with my affections, which, you know, people's grandmothers are open with their affections, but you don't see, you don't see 89-year-old grandmothers being hauled off to jail for sexual assault. Oh my God.
Can we get Jesus? I was going to say, is this podcast going to get a meatball sponsor?
I mean,
he loves those Sunday dinners with those meatballs.
Well, first of all, from one Italian to another, you ain't getting invited to nobody's Sunday dinner no more, guy. I got to tell you.
But I'm just saying, he loves those meatballs.
You know, if you're gonna be playing grab ass with somebody's mom, I mean, there's no seat for you at Sunday dinner. Believe me, I grew up in a Sicilian family, Sicilian as hell, and that ain't flying.
I was gonna say maybe you can get Mama Mancini's meatballs to be a sponsor. Anyway, so the quotes. Listen to this. You need to hear this quote out. My intention is to speak the whole truth, unvarnished, from inside out, frank and candid. This show will have different formats, but more than anything, I want to have a conversation with you because it is about you and you having the right information and your political will to make a difference. Exactly. You want me to believe that?
Because unless you're actually going to use the power you do have for good in service of others, and not just saying, I'm the victim, and not just playing the victim card, there is literally no point to this.
Well, you know, that's how his brother Chris Cuomo got back in the game, right? He launched a podcast called the Chris Cuomo Project.
Even though he pretty much broke every every rule the journalists have in terms of integrity, but
we talked about this. You do know Chris Cuomo is coming back to TV in a sense, right? Yes,
I know that. I know.
He's coming back to the messed up News Nation.
But it's but so you know what? But I'm telling you, it's unethical as fuck what he did.
First of all, I don't trust anybody. CNBC, NBC, CNN, Fox. I don't trust anybody right now.
Well, you definitely shouldn't. You definitely shouldn't trust Fox, but that's beside the point.
Well, I don't trust anybody because, first of all, when these networks say they give the news accurately, every side has a slant.
Whether it's a slant or not, it's not going to be about red or blue, left or right, because at the end of the day, the only thing they care about is green.
Well, yeah, and
money.
Who is the guy that I told you I didn't like on CNN that was doing prime time at nights after Cuomo? When Cuomo was no, the guy that did prime times on CNN at night at 10 o'clock.
Don Lemon.
Yeah, I hate him. I do not like
Don Lemon. What's the matter with Don Lemon?
Because everything is a slant with him. Everything is.
Well, first of all, that man's pretty much.
Actually, he's not doing primetime anymore. They moved him into mornings.
They moved him into morning, which they're trying to fuck with him anyway. Because CNN decided decides to take money away from Democrats and start bringing in the Republican.
Well, I'm not going to fight that
The
battle.
dumbest fucking thing you can do.
I'm not going to fight
Literally
that
the
battle.
dumbest fucking thing you can do.
I just his New Year's stuff is ridiculous. Also,
Who? Don Lemon or
yeah,
Anderson Cooper?
no, Don Lemon when he gets completely hammered and drunk.
You know what? He's having fun, but you know what? Don Lemon is actually a journalist. Him and his team are willing to put in the work to tell the friggin' truth.
You know what the worst part of those two shows being one after another was that stupid in between they used to do when Don Lemon would take over for his hour, the crossover between him and Cuomo.
Yeah.
That was worse. It was horrible.
Look, you're talking to somebody who was a lapsed fan of CNN during the Trump years, so.
Well,
so
I tried to keep politics off on the TV.
I do have my attachments to Don Lemon, and Aaron Burnett and Anderson Cooper. So
I like Anderson Cooper as long as he's not being biased. But I like Anderson Cooper. I like him. I like when he hosts. What's it called? When he fills in on live. I like when he does that.
But again, this is because Cuomo. You could say that about Chris Cuomo. You could say that about Andrew Cuomo, especially in the news media, because it's not about the news anymore. It's not about getting to the bottom. It's about professional opinion having.
It's not even that.
You can just manufacture a controversy out of thin air, and like the whole bit with Biden using U.S. Marines as part of the speech he made against
Yeah, I did hear that.
Trump's thing. But you know what? That's a complete bullshit controversy. No one fucking cared.
I was going to say it's more about the rating.
They were the ones who brought up the controversy. You can't invent the controversy and then ask people to respond to the controversy that you yourself created. But it's like an arsonist that's also a fireman.
I was going to say it's more about
the fire, and then you're asking people about it.
No, right, but I was going to say it's more about the money and the ratings than it is about doing the actual news.
It's about stirring the shit up because eyeballs are good. And what do eyeballs mean? What do they lead to?
Money!
Exactly.
I mean, let's put it this way. Both networks talk about Trump because it brings eyeballs. I hate to say it, but that's why they do it.
Well, the man's pretty much done pretty much everything we have a law for.
No, I understand and I agree with you. I'm just saying that's why both networks talk about him because it's eyeballs. They just want to hear like bad things said about Trump, which is normal.
But it revolves around him in a lot of ways because it's either you want to hear that the motherfucker's going down, or you want to hear that he is the greatest president since Abraham Lincoln, and he is Christ's representative on earth to bring about the rapture and save us all from godless communism and critical race theory or whatever shit they're complaining about this.
Or the COVID vaccine.
The vaccine that makes you magnetic and then turns you into a living fire.
My point is, all right.
I wish I was making this stuff up, folks, but I'm not.
Let's just circle this back for a second. So,
you could say that about Cuomo too, because you know what? Everybody and their moms has a podcast now because it's about attention.
It's about attention.
It's about look at me.
Well,
I need you to pay it. I will stop. I will spontaneously combust if you do not pay attention to me within the next 25 seconds. That's what this podcast is about.
No, and totally that makes total sense because you look at
this podcast. I'm saying his podcast.
No. Well, if you look at the podcast world, I think we talked about this months ago. The projected number of podcasts over the next 5 years.
It's probably expected to double or at least triple, right?
Try a lot more than that. Try it's gonna. They're talking about like 90. Well, not the amount of podcasts, but they're talking about like 90 billion downloads.
Jesus Christ!
But you know what? The digital podcasting space is going to grow because you can't do certain things on radio or TV that you can do on a podcast. Well, agree or disagree?
No, I do agree. It's just a matter of it's also a matter of jealousy because it's like This guy gets a. This guy resigns in disgrace, and he's still able to land on his feet.
I want to know.
That's not jealousy. That's anger that these guys just never seem to go away.
I want to know who's going to be representing this podcast.
I don't know either.
I'm trying to think who's going to get behind him. Well, that's a stupid question. Someone will spend money on it, but will Spotify get behind it? Will there's another big company called Cadence 13, which does a lot of podcasting.
Is iHeart going to get behind it?
Would iHeart get behind it? Would iTunes Apple get behind it? Someone will want it because it's going to make a lot of advertising revenue.
Because again, like a car crash attracts eyeballs too.
So someone will pick it up. That was a dumb rhetorical question on my part. I should have known better, knowing that I've seen some of the most ridiculous people, including people I've worked with, make a lot of money for no reason. So, all right, let's move on. A few more stories left. I just think this one's funny. Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, MacKenzie Scott, files to divorce second husband, Dan Jewett.
I mean, it really does make it difficult to meet people when Google is a thing that exists.
But you can't make this up. She divorced him, and then she got divorced again.
I mean, I understand it's difficult to meet people, but you know what? Is sitting on a pile of $40 billion really that lonely? It must be.
I mean, come on, man. Like,
look at all the failure.
I mean, yeah, failure. Failure.
Whose failure is it? Is it hers or is it Jeff?
Hers. Not the first time. If something went down between the two of them, then it's on the two of them. But, and by the way, he's an idiot for not having a prenup. But apparently after she left, he made it back within like the next month or two.
Again, because this man pretty much owns everything. He's Lex Luthor without the hatred for Superman.
Let's put it this way. You know
all that implies.
You know how we say that the only people who have money printing machines are the government? Well,
no, he does too.
Technically, Amazon has a license to print money.
The fact that he spent $500 million getting the rights to Lord of the Rings. $500 million on the budget for the first season of Lord of the Rings. $500 million.
And I guarantee you he made that back within a few months.
And MacKenzie's got like what, $40 billion?
44 or 45, I think.
But you know what? I hope she finds somebody. You know what? I'm not being cynical today. I'm not being cynical, and I'm going to say, you know what? I hope you do find somebody. Because you know what? It's got to be, like I said, it's got to be difficult when anybody with an internet connection can just pick up their phone, and maybe it's an Amazon branded phone. You'll never know. And they find out that MacKenzie Scott was Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, because that colors the entire perception.
I'm surprised they didn't get Jeff Bezos and MacKenzie Scott to host Jeopardy.
No, he'd be looking up the. Yeah, you know what? No, that's not the answer. He's bought off all the judges.
What do you mean all the judges?
He could just spend enough money to buy off all the judges, and they'll just say any answer he gets was correct.
So
yes, 2 + 2 does equal 5, Jeff.
2 + 2 isn't 5. It's 6. 6. That joke. No one's gonna get that joke. Anyway, so they got married 2 years after she divorced Bezos.
And it's been a while since then, hadn't it?
Yeah. So it says Scott and Jewett announced their marriage in 2021, 2 years after the novelist split from Bezos, the founder of Amazon, who were married for 25 years and have 4 children.
Oh boy! You know.
By the way, the one thing I'll give Scott credit for when she got all that money, she basically donated it. Do you remember that?
Yeah, she did. She donated I don't know if she donated all of it.
No, not all of it.
She donated a big part of it.
So she got 44. It says she still has 30 billion. Hey, 15 billion is nothing to sneeze at as a donation.
There's a lot of people in this world that would kill for that kind of money. So,
But I have no sympathy for her divorcing a second time. What?
yeah.
I hope she had a prenup. No, because that would have screwed her over if she didn't have a prenup.
Would have screwed her over. So you know what? It's good news for her.
But it's all about the money.
Exactly. Moving on.
Speaking of money, and this is my favorite part. I love talking about this next story. MrBeast. Now, before we go into this, do you know who MrBeast is?
Secondhand, yes.
So MrBeast is
I
that
know of him.
It's that big YouTube channel that has
he does the pranks and the challenges, and I think he created his own version of Squid Game.
Right, and he gives
missing the point of Squid Game.
And he gives away like a lot of money to people who are in need
he does a lot of charity work. So
well, also he'll just go out randomly and like have challenges and then just give people money if they win the challenge. It was kind of cool actually. But
yeah, and he's got hundreds of millions of followers on YouTube, and the man is worth shit. I don't even know how much.
I'm trying to look up quickly the MrBeast YouTube channel because I just want to see.
He even has his own fast food chain.
Oh, he's got 105 million subscribers on the MrBeast YouTube channel,
and he's only 24. So I do realize that I'm jealous as fuck.
Bro, we all are. We want to get there one day.
I mean, because I would like to have been worth that kind of money.
Hey, you never know. What?
How much you say it was again?
105 million subscribers on YouTube.
I would like to have 105 million subscribers on YouTube.
Wait a minute. You would take 1 million subscribers on YouTube.
I'd take 1 million. I'd take 100,000 at this point. I'd take 10,000.
We'll get there. Don't worry. We'll get there one day.
I realize that it's jealousy, but you know,
it takes time to build something. It takes time to build something. But yeah, he turned down $1 billion for his YouTube channel and associated companies.
And he has a lot of them. He has a fast food chain that he just opened up a brick and mortar stuff that kids seem to love. And
he's got like a dessert and cakes.
He's got a dessert and cakes company, and he has a chocolate bar too.
Yeah, so he has Beast Burgers and Feastables.
So the man is an entrepreneur. The man is an entrepreneur.
He's a smart guy.
I understand that, but you know what? I'm a little leery about giving a 24-year-old that kind of money and power because because when you know what you know at 24 years old. I'll tell you what you know. You don't know dick when you're 24 years old.
First of all,
think about back when you were 24 years old. You think you would have been able to handle that kind of money and that kind of exposure?
The money, maybe. The exposure would have been a different story.
First of all, the fact that he hasn't collapsed in a sea of bad investments in cocaine is just beyond me.
I just think he's a good guy. That's just
he does very well with that image, and he does a lot. And to his credit, he does a lot for charity. But again, all these criticisms that I love are really born out of a place of jealousy because I wish I had that. You wish you had that. We all do.
I mean, he also helps people with YouTube. I've seen him do that also.
Yeah, he does.
So I just think that's the difference. I think he's a good guy, and he doesn't keep all the money that he makes.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
don't get me wrong. I'm sure he put enough away to the point.
Put enough away that he'll never have to work again. But you know what?
But he loves what he does. That's what it is.
You know, and ultimately, I can't give him shit because you know what? He's doing what he loves, and he was able to parlay that into a multi-million-dollar enterprise.
More. Try probably billions eventually.
Eventually, it will be $1 billion enterprise.
He went on a podcast. He went on a podcast. I'm trying to find the name of it. The Flagrant podcast, which is co-hosted by Andrew Schultz. And he was asked, what would you take for the whole thing? And he said apparently he couldn't disclose who or what, but he did get a written offer for $1 billion.
So at this point, ladies and gentlemen, he can just wait it out because somebody's going to pay him more.
First of all,
the bigger he gets, and the more subscribers he gets, the more exposure he gets.
Well, forget subscribers. He's at such a number, 105 million subscribers, where the subscribers that he gets are not even like you wouldn't even see them at that point. That's how big he is.
There's going to be somebody at some point in the future. There's going to be somebody who pays him a lot more than $2 billion.
Well, he came out and said that if I had to put a value on it, I would want $10 to $20 billion for everything.
Which is absurd. You know what? As a man of a certain age, that is just, maybe it's a generational thing. Maybe it's a generational gap, but I literally can't fathom that.
But you know what, though? I actually don't. I'm not against it. He actually is very high value.
I'm not against it either. I just don't get it.
Do you see the amount of views he pulls in?
I understand that, but again, like an old man fumbling with the clicker. I don't get it.
His Squid Games video almost broke YouTube.
I understand that, but I keep telling you, I don't get it.
You know, one company.
I don't think I'll ever get it.
One company I would really want to work with, and he works with them as a sponsor, Honey.
Yeah, they do. I've heard of them. They do a lot of work.
They're the discount where you plug them into your browser and they find you deals.
Extension that you can use to get discounts for.
And it's cool. I've seen it. It's kind of cool, actually. That would be a company I'd want to work with one day.
Plug. But yeah. So but you know what? I get it. I get that he's a nice guy. I understand that. But you know what? I think I'm just too old to get into that stuff.
I'm telling you right now, if I could get in,
too old for this stuff because this is built for teenagers. This is built for tweens and teenagers, and I just
actually that's
early and mid 20s.
That's not 100% true. That's actually not 100% true because if you see some of the different types of people, like he's giving money away to older people, to different races, to different backgrounds.
I understand that, but maybe I'm just too old to get it.
I'm telling you right now, if I could somehow get an interview with him, just to, I'd be, you know me, I would just sit here for.
You'd be euphoric.
I would just want to know like what goes on in his head, like.
Yeah, I would want to know either. I would want to know too, even if I don't get it.
Because I would just, and I'm not even asking, like, because I guarantee you millions of people every day, oh, what's the company's secret? Well, I'm not looking for the company's secret. I just want to know, like, what fascinates him, what gets him to do certain things. That's how I've always been interviewing people. Like, I don't need to know your trade secret. I'm not looking to copy you or whatever. I'm looking to just understand, like, how did you get to this point in your life? And, like, what were the ups? What were the downs? Like, because I'm sure he's had downs in his life. We all do. We all have ups and downs in our lives. But
we do. But it's just maybe I'm just too old. Maybe I'm just too old for this.
But Beast Burgers and Feastables are in 20,000 stores.
Jesus Christ. Jeez.
So think about that for a second. And also, it said in July, Insider reported that the guy's actual name is Jimmy Donaldson. That's MrBeast. Planned to hire a programmer to create, quote, a mobile strategy game for iOS and Android. So now he's getting in the gaming business.
Oh, boy.
But this is crazy. It also says he's known, like you said, for stunts and turning a backyard into a ball pit, giving away $1 million, but only giving people 1 minute to spend it. Which those videos are hilarious, by the way. And he's given away everything from an island to luxury cars to millions in cash. So that's why people like him, because he doesn't just take the money in and throw it in a mattress in his house.
Yeah.
By the way, does anyone do that anymore?
I don't know.
I don't think anyone does that. That's old fashioned.
Yeah. See, we're both old.
No, I don't do that. I use banks and I invest and all that stuff.
You know what? You will be again. You like to think that you're young and hip now, but you know what? Once you hit 30, you'll get there. Suddenly you'll realize, how the fuck did that happen? It will happen to you, my boy.
All right, one more story.
Boy, it shall happen to you as it happens to us all. So you know what? You better just accept it and make jokes about it.
All right, one more story.
By the way, I think I threw my fucking back out. Oh God!
Did you really?
Oh, yeah, and those kids won't stay off my goddamn lawn.
All right, one more story. Speaking of food. So before we get into this one, do you remember, Nick, when we talked about the Disney wedding, which people had a huge controversy about?
Yes, I did.
Because people were like, well, it's a Disney World. You have to buy your own food and blah, 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 blah. And we got a lot of clips off that, a lot of views off that.
Yeah, we did.
So now this Taiwanese couple spends $800 on Costco food for their wedding.
So take it from somebody who actually lives pretty close to a Costco.
Me too.
I don't blame them at all. First of all, $800 on Costco food. If you've ever been to Costco, that's nothing. You could easily spend up to $500 if you're there all day.
Yeah, that's true. I like Costco. My parents love Costco.
Who's had a couple Thanksgivings saved by Costco's food.
Wait, what? Wait, really?
Yeah. There were a couple times catering didn't go through, and we had to use Costco for sides. But you know what?
Oh.
Nobody noticed.
The best part is, so like when you look at this,
ago that nobody cares.
so it says the couple reportedly spent 25,000 Taiwanese dollars, which is approximately $787 US, on their wedding banquet at Costco. With the help of their friends, they bought products such as bottles, jars, and metal pails to serve drinks and various foods, including croissants, hams, and cakes, to create the bride's quote dream wedding banquet.
You know what? Good for them. Good for them. This had to have been one of those theme weddings.
So it says the bride's Facebook post garnered over 40,000 likes and more than 1,000 comments. Jesus.
I guess because everybody has an opinion about you can't have a wedding like that. You've got to spend an arm and a leg. And first of all, there's another thing I'm pissed off about. The wedding industrial complex is a scam.
Well, yeah, the amount of money
I'm not
people
married,
spend.
but I've been to enough weddings to see that this is bullcrap.
I mean, I've been to a few family weddings. It's insane what they spend.
It is insane what they spend. So you know what? A couple deciding, you know what? We're not going to do that. We're going to spend some money. We're going to spend our money smart.
That's true. I don't know. The wedding business is a sham, including the DJ, which overcharges for everything. I don't know. I mean, $800 worth of Costco food for a wedding. I don't know if your guests are going to be 100% happy about that, but
ultimately, it's your wedding. They got to do what you want.
I mean, the big joke I've heard before, I don't remember the name of the comedian, but I don't remember the joke exactly, but people are like, I'm going to use the wedding gifts to pay for the wedding. I don't know. It is what it is. But yeah, that'll do it for episode 49 of Beyond the Bench, which was a very interesting episode of Beyond the Bench.
Yes, it was. We really ran the gamut this week, which is something that we really try to do. So mission accomplished.
But make sure you subscribe to the Empty the Bench podcast network at youtube.com/ETB network. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Beyond the Bench 1. Follow at ETB Network at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. But yeah, anything else?
And make sure you can follow us across the screen on Twitter at Morgasen Radio and me at Nick Right Words. So that is pretty much going to do it. So for my venerable co-host, Mr. Nick Morgasen, I am Nick Fodera, and I say good night, everybody. See you back on the bench.
Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week.